What's up? What's up?
What's up, YouTube family? It's your boy Clem. And your
All
girl
right,
Who.
Shan.
Are you about to start or just
What?
go ahead, do your thing?
What am I about to do?
You good?
What are you talking about?
All right, so what we got going on today?
All right, we got our governor, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
Okay.
He says Florida is where woke goes to die. Okay, so you can, think about that in any way you want to, but seems to me that Florida is not a woke state. Of course, when it comes to education, anyway, I would hope not. But
Exactly.
we're gonna get right on into this one.
Let's
Ready?
make it do what it do.
Okay.
The state of Florida is the state, is the place where woke goes to die. We are not going to let this state. We're not going to let this state descend into some type of woke dumpster fire. We're going to be following common sense. We're going to be following, facts, and that's just really, really important.
That's Governor Ron DeSantis standing up to the woke ideology taking over schools across the country and in his home state of Florida.
Ridiculous.
The governor is offering a unique plan to tackle the national teacher shortage by hiring retired police officers, military veterans, and first responders. DeSantis says their real-life experience makes these retirees a perfect fit to counter the ideology he says gets drilled into today's young minds. The governor had more to say about this a short while ago.
We believe that veterans offer a lot to our communities. We want to harness that. We want to harness those experiences, being in those military units, understanding how to lead people, understanding how to be in difficult circumstances. And so our view is that, those folks are bringing a wealth of experience and knowledge. We want them to look to our education system as a place where they can land and continue to serve our communities.
Joey, I think this is a fantastic idea. Our veterans know about the values of bravery, heroism. I don't have to tell you, service to the country. That's who I want teaching my kids. I love this.
No, I like it. I think really the genius here is how do you circumvent the indoctrination of universities? You go find someone that might have gotten a four-year degree but has spent 20 years doing real-world things, not academic things. Just like sometimes small towns will hire veterans and put them out on the police force and give them kind of a crash course. That's not a good way to set them up for success. You have to take a veteran, teach them to be a police officer. There's a difference between seeking the enemy and wanting to kill it and having to treat the enemy to protect the enemy, which is what police officers have to do. The bad guys, they still have to protect them as they bring them into jail. So one thing I will say is I hope that the second step to that plan is to bring these veterans, first responders, just because they have a four-year degree, and teach them to be a teacher.
Exactly.
But not teach them to be a radical left ideologue who is indoctrinating children.
Exactly.
That has nothing to do with teaching. And I think the idea here is if you find someone that has already had a career in public service, doing something honorable, they're probably not bringing in a bunch of academic ideas that really teach you to hate this country. And as long as the second part of that is teaching them to be teachers, which means having the patience of Job, then I think they're going to be phenomenally successful, and I love the idea.
Dr. Sapphire, our schools, of course, have an obligation to teach history, and not all of American history is good. We have many sins in our past. But this idea that there should be respect for our common values, our flag, our anthem, our pledge, I think someone who's fought each other, who's fought and bled for that flag is someone who I think offers a rich perspective that any child can learn from.
Well, undoubtedly, and I agree with Governor DeSantis in that I don't think that any educator should make a child feel guilty about things that happened well before they or even their parents were born.
Exactly.
When my oldest son went through high school and college, he at times felt nervous to express certain opinions during group discussions. He felt that his teacher would be upset with him, maybe grade him unfairly. And so my problem is I think all ideologies should be taught in schools, right, left. I don't think anything should be censored. However, I think that they should be met from an objective standpoint. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is a lot of professors are inserting their opinions and making the conversation more subjective. And that's not the role of an educator. I love this idea in the sense that people with real-world experience to come in and help teach our youth. As a mother myself, I do have some concerns. I want to make sure that you have the most qualified people who are teaching the fundamentals to your children, math, science, and so forth. And so, to Joy's point, as long as they're coming in and they're being properly trained on how to teach our children, then I am okay with this. I think it's a great thing. But just like the doctor shortage, the answer isn't to go and find lesser qualified people to fill that gap. It is to make sure, like we saw with the Affordable Care Act, where they were replacing doctors with nurses, But what you need to do is you need to incentivize the teachers we already have, and for anyone you want to bring in to teach, you have to make sure that they have the proper training and support, and they're well compensated for it.
And Emily, so if you're a veteran, you do have to get a 5-year certificate if you have not gotten your bachelor's degree yet. If you're a law enforcement officer, you do have to have a bachelor's degree before you teach. So there are certain qualifications. The head of the Alachua County Teachers Union, though, said she's dismayed by this plan. And her reason says that now someone with just a high school education can pass the test and can easily get a 5-year temporary certificate. I don't even know what to say, but that's the teachers union's perspective.
I'm sure she's dismayed because this blows open that comfortable complacency that they got to enjoy, they meaning those teachers union activists and members. What I find dismaying is that hubris that is exemplified in her statement, which is essentially totally demeaning people who have served this country and somehow imparting that because these guys have gone through this totally draconian bureaucratic qualification system that our government puts forth, that somehow they're more qualified than these people. I love this program and this plan so much for 2 reasons. Because number one, I cannot think of better educators and inspirations and leaders than those who have served our country in law enforcement and in the military and the like. And secondly, because it circumnavigates, as you were saying, all of those teachers that have been entrenched and sort of grown up in that petri dish. And it amplifies and lifts up those people that have served and bled for our country. Why shouldn't we be prioritizing them to integrate them back into society? And I think, I know a lot of people, I'm sure you guys too, who are like, oh, well, I couldn't be a teacher in this state because I didn't have that extra certificate, but I was here, and they're amazing. That's exactly who I would want around our kids. But they're stopped from doing so because of these ridiculous things they have to navigate. So I appreciate the point about there's qualifications that are necessary, but it still isn't in that drowning form that makes a lot of people unable to participate that you want leading your children.
Harris.
You look like you wanted to speak.
Just on her points, I'm sure DeSantis is doing something about this, but there are a lot of military spouses who actually have the education to be a teacher, but because they move to a different state every 3 years, can't keep up with the certification
that's
process.
what Emily was saying.
And I hope the door is blown open for them as well, because that's red tape that makes no sense and disqualifies a lot of qualified people.
We may find that there are more candidates for this, too, as military veterans, as certain municipalities have defunded the police forces. We do know that 19% of those who are serving as police officers formerly served in the military. That's a big chunk of our force. So if some of them have come out, you may find that some of them are more, and they're used to training. I mean, that's part of your transition.
Best thing about being in the military is teaching the young ones the way. It's a lot of fun. It's fulfilling.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host Harris Faulkner.
All right.
Wow. Okay. What do you think about that?
I mean, I like it. I just feel that before, of course, or even while they're on the job, yes, that support and training.
Yeah.
Because yes, people may think that anybody can teach. No, they can't.
Yeah, I think that you do need the training.
You want to have training.
And I don't think, and a lot of what I fear is if a police officer come with that same attitude, like he did as a police officer, and bring it to the classroom.
Oh yeah.
Then he stereotyped me. He may say, "Well, I know your type."
Yeah.
I worked in law enforcement for 20-some years. I know your type. You're the criminal. You're a criminal. You can't do that to a child.
No, you don't want to do that to a child. I mean, you can bring in the skills you have from a previous career. Mm-hmm. However, you still need to tone that down because you don't want to go in, judging a child.
That's the thing, knowing how to tone it down.
Yeah, knowing how to tone it down.
So I think they do need the training.
But I think with the support, necessary and the correct training. I mean, of course, I think it's a great idea because a lot of kids just feel that the situation I'm in now, living in poverty or seeing my parents struggle is like a normal thing, and I should strive to stay here. And they get complacent and they just want to stay there. Well, no, them bringing in the outside information and knowledge. That helps because we always tell the kids that we want them to give us a real world answer, or how can you connect to this text type answer, and I think that's a good way of doing it. Another thing I wrote down is teacher certification. I know in Florida, I had some challenges with getting mine, even though I had a bachelor's degree, then went on and get a master's degree because you have to take so many tests. So, of course, that just makes people, I don't test well. So, no, I'm not even going to try to take all those tests. It's already $200 a pop or $75 to even get it, get your transcripts reviewed by the state. I mean, that's a lot of money to put out front before you even get your first paycheck.
Yeah.
But the reciprocity thing, I learned about that in college. But again, you still have to meet the other state certification requirements to the T. One missed class or credit, basically, you out of the game of even being a teacher. That means you have to take a college class, and of course, you're losing a good teacher because of that one requirement that, that's not equal to another state.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So it's
a lot into it.
It's a lot into it. So I just think that
but
if they make it
more
more
temporary certification, right?
So the temporary certification, yes, it says for 3 years, but that first requirement has to be met within the first year. Mm-hmm. So it's like, but when you call so many different people, you call the state, they tell you one thing. You call your district, they tell you something else. And I'm like, okay, oh my gosh, I paid for a class. I paid I forgot how much I was for a class that I didn't even have to take because I was told one thing from somebody else and then told something else by the state. And
I think that
that's why we're losing teachers right there. It's the confusion.
Even with the police department, I think they put a rookie with a seasoned police officer. Mm-hmm. And I think they need to do the same thing when it comes to a police officer coming into the office as a teacher. Yeah. Put them with somebody that's been there.
Or put somebody from the military. Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah. So just having the support and the training, I think we will have some very successful teachers. Another thing that they talked about is trying to get a child or a student to think like the teacher does. One thing I noticed in our teachers' manuals is they always say they call it a suggested student response. So the teacher can read that answer key and see, okay, the student, if they don't say everything here, they got it wrong. No, it said student suggested response. If the student answers a question and most of, or even a few words of what that suggested response are there, but the response makes sense and it gives you another thought, why try to make that child, say exactly what the suggested response is? So now I'm putting my thoughts into the child that way. Okay. So when they say something that is, that sounds correct and they understand the content, of course the answer is going to be correct, because I don't want to make them think that I'm trying to instill in them hey, no, you didn't say this word, you should have used this word instead of that word. But we want them to use just information that they just read or learned.
So the key thing is for if a police officer step into the office of a teacher, that officer need to be trained.
Yes.
You can't bring the same, attitude,
you can't have the mindset
as a police officer in the teaching room. Now, for the leadership skills, you want to bring that to the table.
Yes. Now, having that is very good to have, because you want to teach. You have to be a leader in your classroom. First of all, you got to be a leader in your classroom. Yes, we have principals and administrators and district personnel, but you have to be a leader in that classroom. Yep. So bringing those skills in, of course. And the student may ask your opinion of something, and it's okay to give it an opinion so long as it's not, off the wall. But, I try to even keep my opinions just, kid friendly and straight to the point, to where, okay, if they'll understand what I'm saying, but I'm not overstepping a bound. Yeah. So I still want to be respectful and everything. And, of course, my kids, I guess eventually they'll begin to learn your personality. Mm-hmm. And you want to build that relationship. So I think it's important for them to still think about building that relationship with kids. Yeah. Regardless of what age, and the training and the support.
Okay. All right, but YouTube family, that's another one.
Yep. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, and please comment.
Yes, please comment. Give us your thoughts on that. Yeah, because we got a teacher shortage. We need more.
Yeah, we need more teachers, but we want them to be trained.
Yes, we need some good
teachers. Police officers coming in and creating a police department in the school.
Right. Here he come.
And you guys have to do it. We're going to put up a peace sign. Peace, YouTube family.